One of the advantages of hiring an expert guide in floating a river is that they know where to stop and do some wade fishing. Often, this is a nice break from a long day of casting streamers on a full sinking line. Trent suggested we stop for lunch at one of his favorite runs. I took this opportunity to rig up a nymph and work a riffle for a short time.
Check your food. Well, we've got out of the boat. We found a really nice spot to get out and wade. And the reason that we chose this spot is we have a nice drop off. If you can look at the water here, we have some dark water here, which indicates shallow water, over to some lighter colored water there. That indicates deeper water. So this is where I want to put my fly. I'm going to try to run it as close to the shallow water as I can, but keep it in the deep water. That's where the fish are going to be laying. They're waiting to ambush any kind of food that's going to come down and right into their mouths. So this is a really good spot to try. Right exactly where it's supposed to be. In that drop off, this was the second cast.
There's one on down there.
And we got a double header on. One of our boat guides down there has one on also. And this is exactly where the fish should have been. Oh yes, it's not huge, but it's a good fish. Oh yeah. He's giving a good showing of himself. It's quite silver, this one. Now, I'm out of the boat. I'm going to try a little side pressure to get him over. And that seems to work sometimes to get the fish closer to you. Okay. Thank you very much, Trent. And that's a decent fish by anybody's standards. And it was exactly where it should have been, in the drop-off from shallow to deep water. Excellent. Yes. I like it when the fish cooperate. Thank you. Now, one technique that we use when the wind isn't blowing so high is a high sticking technique. You want to lift your line up off the water and follow along with your rod tip. Then at the end of the run, I just let it straighten out and throw it back upstream. You don't have to let any more line out. You're back in your same feeding lane as you were before and follow along. Anything that touches the indicator, you're going to see it. But we have been dealing now, that technique when you're dealing with wind is a little more difficult because the wind will start pulling on your line. So now, when you're dealing with wind, we must lay the line on the water, which isn't desirable in most cases, but you have no choice when the wind is blowing. So we lay the line on the water and I mend upstream. When you got a fast current in front of you, like I have here, you must mend upstream. If there was a slow current in front of me, you must mend downstream. And that's how you control your drift. Again, you really shouldn't be casting great distances. It's not needed. The fish are right here. The secret to working nymphs is presentation. And presentation is obtained by your technique, which would be mending line or your high sticking. That's far more important than any fly. You must put it in the feeding lane. It's as important as dry fly fishing to have that drag-free drift, even though it's under the current. Remember that. It's far more important for the presentation. Feisty. Oh, great fish. The one nice thing about floating the North Platte, there's all these little areas where they can let you off and wade and take all sorts of fish like this. This is fun to me. I love, this is my kind of fishing. I just love it. Not a big fish, but
Bill, you need some help?
No, I should be able to get this one. There we go. That's fine. Controlled release. Didn't want to touch him anyways. And he took the bottom fly, which is more or less just a small scud pattern. We'll show you them on camera in a little bit here.
Well, I've got various boxes here, all full of many, many different types of streamers, from your big attractor patterns to your more specific, smaller patterns that imitate certain insects or certain minnows or other bait fish. In this box here, I have everything from yuck bugs to woolly boogers of every size, shape, and color, to bighorn buggers, to yellow yummies, to scorpions. We fished this one specific black and white-legged scorpion today, and that led as our attractor pattern. We followed it up with an orange blossom special. And that was a little bit more specific pattern. It's always a worthy streamer on the North Platte River. Have a bunch of different colored leech patterns, a little bit more of a winter pattern when fishing this river. And then I have a box here that is full of large bait fish imitations, and this is really my big fish box. When we're pinpointing large fish, fishing a single fly, pounding to the banks, fishing it fast, we'll stick to some of these larger patterns like this big white zoo cougar here. And that'll usually arouse a large fish. The biggest thing with streamer fishing is, and what a lot of people neglect, is you want to fish with confidence. Whatever fly you're fishing, fish it with confidence and assume you are going to catch fish on it. I have a lot of patterns here. Today we stuck with the attractor and the more specific pattern. That's one method. Another method, like I said, is to fish one big large fly that imitates a crippled or dying bait fish. That's one way to really pinpoint big fish. You can pretty much use any size, shape, and color. I do try and use 2 flies, give the fish multiple options. If one's not working, I will switch to a different pattern. But today we had managed to stick with the same 2 flies for the duration of the morning, and it's been successful and productive for us.
Trout have certain basic needs to survive. These needs are shelter, food, and access to security such as deep water. With these needs in mind, you can determine where the trout will be holding. Lies such as log jams, undercut banks, shadows, ledges, and drop-offs are all definite areas that will attract trout. Don't forget about any object that will break the current and cause a seam, such as a fallen tree.
Anywhere you see a change in the current,
Right.
visually you can see a depth change. You see it go from shallow to deep. And this watercolor, we're slightly off color this time of year on this river.
Yeah.
So if you can't see the depth change as far as the watercolor is concerned, you can always look for just changes in seams, speed. Like coming up in here, there's a couple really nice pockets. This is a little bit more of that classic streamer-like water.
Yeah.
Lots of feature.
Fish on, yes. Now, we got, as you can see here, we got a few rocks in front of us here, and I got to get this fish on the... Gonna try to get him on the reel as fast as I can, but he's holding tight there. I have a piece of moss here, and there's a bit of a current coming off the end of it. So I put the fly right over there, a couple of strips, and it just stopped. There wasn't a hard hit on this one at all. Doesn't feel like it's quite as big as the last fish, but they're all good. Oh, it's not bad.
What I'm gonna do, Bill, is I'm gonna get this fish out. I'm gonna net him, unhook him, get him back in the water, because we really do not want to miss this next little stretch.
Okay.
Come on, bud.
Come on, buddy. Don't have to.
Oh, also ate the orange blossom special.
Yep. And quickly back into the water, because we're coming up to some prime fishing water here.
We're there.
We're there?
Pretty much well around this bend.
That's fine. Well, here we are at our put-out point. I'm thoroughly exhausted. We had a wonderful day. Lots of good-sized fish, very aggressive. So if you want big fish constantly, streamers are the way to go. For more information on today's show and other shows we have, visit us on the World Wide Web at www.thenewflyfisher.com. From all of us at The New Fly Fisher, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
The New Fly Fisher was made possible thanks to Ontario, yours to discover. Scientific Anglers. Sage Fly Rods.